In our previous video, we went over the different variations of idealism. In this video, I will be going over the distinction between the internal and external world and how they relate to each other. Let's begin. As we explained in a previous video, there are many variations of idealism. Because of this, different idealists will have different views on what constitutes the internal and external world. Here, I'm going to be more broad in my approach in describing things. Let's first start off with the internal world. The first thing to understand is that our internal world includes many things. These are our own thoughts, our emotions, our personalities, and our general ego. However, the internal world also includes our dreams and imagination. Even within this, however, there can be a distinction between a dream and the imagination. A dream is a byproduct of your imagination. However, your imagination is not identical to your dream. When you're in a dream, for example, you can experience many different things. However, if you are in control of the dream, then your imagination can act upon the dream world and create objects and change the environment. But we can still think in a limited sense within the dream. Our imagination would be larger than the dream itself. The things that generate the dream are not located anywhere in the dream environment itself. Rather, it is in the imagination. The same thing happens when we introspect. We can form images in our minds and have direct access to them, but their appearance will be different as it's the imagination which will create them. The internal world is also where you will have mental sensations, and it's what governs the decision-making process. On idealism, the internal world is fundamentally mental and irreducible. You cannot reduce a thought to thoughtlessness. Finally, the internal world is personal, meaning that no other minds can access it but yourself. The external world, on the other hand, is a little different, but it is the same ontological class as the internal world. The external world is transpersonal thoughts and transpersonal consciousness. This means that the external world is not completely distinct from your internal world. The only distinction is that the internal world is personal, while the external world is transpersonal or public. Transpersonal simply means states of consciousness beyond the limits of personal identity. The internal world is your personal identity, but the external world is beyond personal identity. The external world, therefore, is completely objective in the sense that there is a world beyond the personal mind. If you walk outside and get hit by a car, it is actually happening in the real world. But the real world itself is not distinct from consciousness. Rather, it is within transpersonal universal consciousness. Idealists acknowledge that there is a world outside and independent of their personal minds. However, the world that is outside and independent of their personal minds is still a world of consciousness. It is simply just transpersonal consciousness. Idealists look upon the external world in a way that is entirely compatible with scientific research and discoveries. So, to recap, the internal world is one's own personal mind, which can include someone's thoughts, emotions, feelings, personality, felt sense of ego, dreams, imagination, etc. The external world, on the other hand, is a world of universal consciousness that is completely objective to personal minds. On idealism, the world is just pure consciousness and experiences. In our next video, we are going to go over the relationship between mind and brain on idealism.